What do I where do I begin? My heart is with Israel. First thing, I stand with Israel 100%. Let me see if this volume's working. I don't know who changed all this. I think this is Steve's stuff, so I'm gonna try to pick some things up here, guys. Just give me a second here. Okay. Wow, a lot of updates. Cat's got my tongue actually right now. Where do I begin? I'm on 5 days left on a suspension, so there's that. Well, I'll just, you know, for some reason, I just don't know when. I have been praying and talking to God, and I want all of this to be done. We are in those days as it is, brothers. I'm tired of people taking advantage of me my whole entire life. And it's just yeah. Let me know if any echoes, any sound issues. You're picking up a lot of sound in the back. There's totally wow, this has completely changed. So I don't know if Steve has been working with this, but I have not spoke to him. But yeah, SteamYard's just totally different, guys. Let me see if I can get into some things. I'm emotionally exhausted. You probably can see it in my face. I have a lot going on. I explained to you guys, like, I don't get it with, like, between the lawyer and the lawsuit, I'm so tired. My heart is forever broken. I can't mend that back together. Like, the loss of Tom and Anna, like, I'll never get over it. There's no cure from this. Sometimes I'm wondering, why would God not take me instead of Tom and Anna, because just all the responsibilities and the burdens that laid upon me, all of a sudden, tragically. And I've been doing it, and I'm every day, because I have to get out of it. I have to breathe. I have to live, because I have a daughter to live for. My son and me are not in terms of communicating right now, and I'm not. You guys know why. I feel like, and my husband would contest to this if he was sitting next to me, that my entire life, and not just for me, but for him, people who come across him in his life, family, friends, we're just constantly getting screwed over. And, like, I so want to begin that new chapter, and get out of here. Get out of this town. So, I have so much to do around the house, and I ended up getting sick, and now it's fall season, so weather's changed. So it's a big difference of what I got to get done in the next couple days. It's just a lot. And, you know, I told you I'm selling the house. I'll be up soon. So I got all these burdens. And I ask God sometimes, like, just lift them for me, please. Because me and Sarah deserve some goodness. You know? And my husband would say, Michelle, you have such a good heart. You do so good for so good people and saving babies and everything you've done for the pro-life community and traveling back and forth to D.C. and, you know, doing all that. And I am a compassionate, caring person. I do care for others. I donate and help when I can. And I go along the way, and you know, and I'm thinking because of our economy and what has happened. I mean, just since 2020, and here we are in 2023. What a difference, guys! I mean, we see it impacting when we hit the grocery stores, when we open our electric bills, our gas bills, when we put gas in our cars, and it's only going to get worse from here. There's no denying that. I don't know. I can't see because the chat's frozen on. I can't see anything if you guys are chatting. So let me see if I can open up. I just closed it out. I don't know. Let me see here. I'm just trying to say, where's the chat room? There we go. Yeah, so I'm suspended on my main channel, and this one is just basically my backup one, and I've had this one for a while. So everything going on with Israel and Hamas, and you ask yourself too, you know, follow the money trail. And who fueled this war? Who brought on this war? Which we already knew, biblically speaking, we knew this was coming. You know, in the meanwhile, they're playing kick the can and get rid of the House speakers, and yeah, good riddance by Nancy Pelosi. I don't give a fuck, or McCarthy. But you know that stunt that Matt Gaetz pulled. I want everybody to wake the hell up and just realize it was just a stunt. I am not live on Rumble right now. I'm going to try to connect it, but I have just so much stress right now. I want to punch a hole in the wall. I try helping out people, and people just keep screwing me. And you know, I talked to you guys about how I was looking for a roommate and all that, and well, Sid gives me a check, right? And I already knew something was a red flag. I'm really good friends with people at the bank, so I think I could even get a loan if I had to, but I'm just saying, it bounced my whole account. Yeah. This person who I wanted to help out as a friend, you know, because when one place has no place to go, or is one situation where you're living with somebody and it's becoming to the point where you're going to end up going to jail. You know, I wanted to help a friend out. I got that, you know, and I understood. But he was paying a lot more there than here. And the cost of living here compared to his last place, let's just say, he has got no clue. I got the sewer, water bill, electric, garbage, all this stuff. It just adds up. You know, the negotiation was $800 a month. Should be $1,000 because, you know, with the Wi-Fi and that, and, you know, access to the kitchen and stuff, of course. But I don't know. We'll talk about another down the line if this goes. But I get a check, and like I said, I already had a red flag about it, and I'm already going through so much. As I told you guys, I'm sitting here, I'm waiting for the damn lawsuit to settle, or if that's the word you want to use, but for me to get my monthly checks in so I can start paying my taxes and my bills. I told you guys, I'm not going to lie about this journey I've been on. It's been a nightmare. And it just seems like it's an ever-ending nightmare, and I want peace. My heart cannot take it anymore. You know, I was so sick for 5 days, guys. I was vomiting. I couldn't sleep because of all the stress. And then I come to find out that check bounced my whole account. You know, my house insurance, I tried paying. You know, that's immediate. That's the first thing I pay every month, house insurance. I take care of my car insurance. All of that. Very important to take care of these things, because if you don't take care of things, you're not going to have nice things. The government doesn't care if you own your property. You don't pay your taxes, they take your home. And I'm not saying that this is the responsibility of this person, but it was certainly a responsibility to make sure that when you give someone a check, you make sure it goes through, okay? And not tell them, well, you're going to have to wait till Friday. Do you not understand how it works, or did you never have a bank account before? Yeah. I haven't even called my sister Dawn, because if I told my sister Dawn, she probably would be driving her here right now. Because she don't like that. Because she knows how hard it is for her sister, which means me. She knows. And she doesn't like it when people do that to her sister, which means me. And same thing, I don't like it when someone hurts her. You stand up for family. That's what family does. I even had to say, well, I guess I'm going to have to just, you know, go into the pawn shop, get some rid of more things, just to balance out my account just for a couple of days, because you bounced my whole account. You $400 check just bounced. And like I said, I knew it. I knew it. The red flags were going off. And I'm like, here we go again, Lord. I do good for someone, and that happens. I was pissed, and then it seemed like, and Sarah said too, just by the response of the text messages and the conversation between me and this person, kind of like it got mad at me. I was like, what? Not my fault. It has already been like 2 weeks, and I haven't even been able to get the stuff done around outside, because I have to worry about all this now too. I mean, it really does help. I've been telling you guys I'm looking for a roommate for a while. You know, yeah. That's what people have to do to survive today. People have to get, you know, roommates. Share equal bills, rent, etc., etc. how do you find one good person these days? Let me know in the comments. Have that ever happened to you when you had to live with somebody and that happened to you? It's like, don't ruin me. Want to ruin your life? Fine. I'm trying to, like, get me and my daughter out of here and to start our new journey together. Because we deserve happiness and peace. After all the pain we have been through and the stress, just from, even with Nathaniel, my son, that he puts me and her under. And then I have to have, on top of that, now I have to deal with this. So, my lawyer gets this. Like I said, I'm an open journey. I don't care. I'm going to be very honest about this lack of communication I have with this lawyer. From Dominic, from Mike, because that's these two lawyers. I don't even know anymore. Like, lawyers are scumbags, and I really believe a lot of them are going to hell. I'm traveling back from out of town, and the courts are closed today. Well, no shit, Sherlock. I knew that. Meaning me, I wanted to say that, but I didn't. Anyway, I will call them tomorrow, the courts, and I'll see what the problem is. I can help you out again because I know the money is coming. Yeah, you can keep writing me your personal checks, but you're going to take more out of my lawsuit. You should have did this for pro bono from the very beginning anyway. Because that's what he told me, and I know because I was sitting in the funeral home planning a funeral for my daughter and my husband. My husband's was already pre-planned. Literally, he had a booklet and our safe, and he said, everything ever happens to me, this is what I want. You take this, you call the funeral home, they know what to do. And I just said, just copy whatever you had for him for Anna. I didn't want to sit there all day and look at a big book of caskets. Okay? I know my father and my other family members were pushing a metal rose color. I'm like, no, I want an oak casket. Give me the best vault, like Tom had. Everything, just copy everything he had. Well, unfortunately, he couldn't get the exact same casket as Tom's, but he got the exact same walnut color, like a very beautiful wood color. So, and I don't put blame on the funeral director, but I kind of do because they're the ones that recommended this lawyer to me. And like I told you guys, it's been nothing but a nightmare. Anyway, I'm literally talking to myself, and I fucking just... I hate YouTube. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Facebook, guys. I mean, I miss my beautiful Anna. And they say, so why couldn't it have been me? Lord, why didn't you take me? Because I told my husband, literally the day before he passed, guys, I can picture him standing by the pool with my beautiful girl, Lucy, and our dog, and I told Tom, I said, I love you. I'm so grateful for everything you do for us. Please don't ever die. We need you. We're coming near the end, hon. We not much longer. We got this. I told him. We got this. And he played it out. He said, well, if I go first, please get out of New York. That's what he said. It sucks. Like, I try to do so good for people, and I keep getting shit on. Let this person move in. Lives above my garage. The agreement was $800 a month. Gives me a check for $400, and it bounced my account. No accountability for action at all. Which is typical men. No offense, guys. Look, I don't have enough to worry about. Like, if you took a place and you looked, I mean, like I said, I could charge more. Especially in this fucking economy. Where are you going to find that kind of rent, $800 a month in rent? You're not going to find that in New York State. My sister Dawn said, you're being taken advantage of, and I should listen to her. Anyway, I feel like I'm a broken record and I keep repeating myself, guys. I am literally trying to get this band video to play for the last 20 minutes. And it's just like circling the drain. If anybody wants to come up in here, let me know. I can't even see the damn chat on YouTube because no one's there. Someone's watching on Facebook, but I don't know who. Alright, I got it. Finally. Well, it's kind of like an emergency broadcast. I don't know if it's actually the... I want to play it, but it's like the whole thing. Hold on, guys. I'm just getting into something. I can't even share it because I can't pull it up. Fucking banned video, damn it. Okay, hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Great Awakening is here, and I've written a definitive book on the subject. The globalists fear this information. Get yours now.
The so-called border crisis.
Check this out here. I got Israeli news
That Europe is having is similar to the border crisis in Israel and Ukraine. That's what kind of
these people
border crisis this is. This is straight up war, right? This is not a border crisis. That's a mischaracterization. This is a war. We're being invaded. We're being invaded by millions per year into the United States. And right now, again, I see people from Gaza coming through Darien Gap constantly, right? They're all over the United States now, right? And they have been for years. And, you know, we see the reports, by the way, coming from Israel. And by the way, as I was just leaving the Darien Gap this morning, a friend told me that a couple of weeks ago, I haven't been able to check this out because I've been in the Darien Gap today, that that we issued visa-free travel for Israelis a couple of weeks ago. Somebody needs to fact check that if that's true. It's a good, reliable source, but it needs to be checked. I just left the gap. That would be quite interesting timing. In any case, the visa-free travel to the United States, because I said, with this war in Israel, we're going to start seeing Israelis come through the Darien Gap. And he said, no, they just, offered visa-free travel a couple of weeks ago. Mysterious. So in any case, so right now, so please check that out. It's a reliable source. But again, I just left the jungle. But at the same time, the people who are coming in are from all over the world. Afghanistan, tons of Chinese, of course, 3,000 to 5,000 a day. That number is clearly going to go up to at least 10,000. Right now it's rainy season, by the way. So the jungle is very muddy right now. It's very difficult to get through. But by January, it should be dry. And that's when, even though this is rainy season, and normally in rainy season the numbers decrease, the numbers have been increasing month after month. In August, the Panamanian government told me 82,000 came through the Darien Gap in August.
I've not been this excited ever! Oh, yeah, Mug Club, baby! Wow!
The replatforming begins now. Join Mug Club and get 1 month free with promo code Alex at jonescrowder.com.
I knew it!
On March 20th, 2003, the United States invaded Iraq. Exactly 1 year before the invasion, Alex Jones predicted it.
So now everybody's going, wow, it really was the Iraqis. That's just because they're getting ready to invade Iraq. And what a beautiful setup.
While other networks lie to you about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. Visit Infowars.com/show and share the link today.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I am Chase Geiser filling in with Harrison Smith for the great Alex Jones, who seems to always be right. Before we get started diving into the news and with our special guest this segment, let's talk a little bit about Vitamin Mineral Fusion, which is back at 25% off.
Shut up about that.
25% off. I think
I've been down in Darien Gap.
Now, Mr. Michael Yon. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thanks for having me on. I'm in Panama right now, back in the Darien Gap. I just left the Darien Gap this morning. This is Highway 1, the Pan American Highway. It's going to be completed to Colombia at some point. They're building a bridge now down near Ibiza, Panama. I've been down in Darien Gap where I've spent, I don't know, maybe 6 months since Biden was installed, because this one lane you see right here is a 2-lane highway. This one lane right beside me is the lane that goes to the United States. And this is the lane where 3,000 to 5,000 aliens per day head up in buses. They'll probably pass this while I'm on with you. And but now the presidents of Costa Rica and Panama were just together on the 6th of October, so just a few days ago. They were down in Las Blancas camp, where I was just at, actually. And they announced that they're going to go from about 60 buses per day, so from about 5 dozen buses per day. And those buses fit about roughly 50 people per bus, depending on how many children and that sort of thing. They're going to go from 60 to 5 dozen to about 200 per day. So,
this shit's just fucking out of control, yo. Let me get into I had Telegram open and then it just like went down. So give me a minute, guys. There it is, back up. Okay. Yeah, Tucker Carlson put out a good video. I'm trying to see if I can get it, but the problem is, Telegram does not show video. So I think I would have to go into his Twitter account to see it. Tucker, because that's where Tucker Show is now. I kind of knew that Elon Musk was going to be paying him, if you want to call it that, whatever. Okay, from the Health Ranger. Forwarded from the Health Ranger. Jewish people in America are hopefully learning that when you vote for Democrats, you get terror. Barack Obama and Joe Biden equals the money for Iran, which means follow the money trail, people. Funding to Hamas. Terrorist attacks on Israel, and the most of our Democrat socialists in Congress are at the side of Hamas. If you vote Democrats, don't be surprised when terrorists end up well funded. Let me see if I can text Steve. You awake? You awake? I can't pull up any of these, man, because they're all files. I wish I could show you what I'm looking at here, but I can't. Guys, we all know, from his own words, from out of his own mouth, who's running this show. We've known his hatred for Israel, meaning Obama, for decades. There's nothing new to that. He's a Muslim. He's a hatred rhetoric terrorist who should be held for treason. These videos that are coming out is just heartbreaking. Some of it I couldn't even, I wouldn't even suggest watching or recommending. I'm still waiting for Steve to call me back or text me back. In the meantime, I do want to share something with you guys, but I'm having a hard time playing it because it's a file. Alright, I got a link. What we can watch is here. And then if Steve joins us, that's good. As you guys know, I'm support Mark Levin 100%. Let's see if... no, let me go back to his show over here. Where is that one? See if you guys are looking at what I'm looking at. Okay, here we go.
I want to make a couple of Welcome back, America. Well, I want to make a couple of final comments. First of all, if you want to help the people of Israel, particularly the ambulance service and so forth, you can go to israelrescue.org, israelrescue.org. I'd encourage you to help them out. I mean, obviously, they're facing horrific circumstances there. And I would ask that you remain strong. The media will not remain strong. The Democrat Party will not remain strong. Some Republicans might not, but I think they'll hold pretty firm. But it's going to be up to you, we the people, tens of millions of us, to make it abundantly clear that not only do we stand with Israel and the Netanyahu government, but we detest the Nazi Hamas terrorists, the regime in Tehran led by Nazis, the Hezbollah Nazis, and what they are doing. You know, it's said over the decades, never again will we allow this to happen. What happened in Germany and the rest of Europe and so forth. Never again will it's happening. And this administration, the Biden administration, has not only rebuilt Iran, rebuilt these terrorist regimes, but they're about to give them nuclear weapons by their appeasement and so forth, with intercontinental missiles that can hit every one of your communities. And these people are evil. They'll be able to threaten us. They'll be able to blackmail us. That is why we must say enough is enough, never again.
This shit's fucking just insane. I mean, the whole world's just gone to shit. We all know this, right? I'm just gonna go back into band video and see if we can go into home and see if it just pulls up this way here. Alright, we're just gonna hit it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Great Awakening is here, and I've written the definitive book on the subject. The globalists fear this information. Get yours now exclusive.
The silent majority
Is no longer
silent. This is the War Room with Owen Schroyer.
Please stand by for further details. We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
Well, it's one of the worst things you have to cover in live media, talk radio, television, especially when you're trying to be an honest person that has principles and values, and that is war. And, of course, it's no secret that one of the most highly contested, bifurcated issues has been the state of Israel, the Middle East, Islam, Judaism. It's always been there for centuries, this war. And it's like there's this pressure now where you have to pick a side. And you can't just have a response like, well, you know, I'm an American citizen. I live in a Christian nation. And I think it's awful what Hamas is doing. I think there's a struggle there. And I'd rather just not be involved. I'd rather just think about my country and what we're going through and just not be involved at all. Can't I think that there's good people and bad people on both sides? Can't I just recognize that that's a long struggle that's been going on, that's not my struggle and shouldn't be my struggle? Here's Ron Paul. He always seems to find a way to base these things, but this is Ron Paul back in, I believe it was 2008. Interesting, because is anything Ron Paul says here inaccurate? Representative Ron Paul on Hamas and Israel in clip 14.
What's happening in the Middle East, and in particular with Gaza right now, we have some moral responsibility for both sides in a way, because we provide help and funding for both Arab nations and Israel. And so we definitely have a moral responsibility, and especially now today, the weapons being used to kill so many Palestinians are American weapons, and American funds essentially are being used for this. But there's a political liability, which I think is something that we fail to look at, because too often there's so much blowback from our intervention in areas that we shouldn't be involved in. You know, Hamas, if you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. And you say, well, yeah, that was better then and served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, we have such a good system, we're going to impose this on the world. We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas. So we first indirectly and directly through Israel help establish Hamas. Then we have election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them. You know, it just doesn't make sense. During the 80s, you know, we were allied with Osama bin Laden. And we were contending with the Soviets. It was at that time our CIA thought it was good if we radicalized the Muslim world. So we financed the madrasa schools to radicalize the Muslims in order to compete with the Soviets. There's too much blowback. There's a lot of reasons why we should oppose this resolution.
And this has been the case throughout time. I'll never forget when Obama funded quote-unquote moderate rebels in Syria, and it turned out just to be ISIS, radical Islamic terrorist groups. So this is what the U.S. does. This is what other major countries do. They fund both sides of the war, and they're big donors and lobbyists in the weapons manufacturers and contractors, companies, make out like bandits, and so do they, because they've got stocks and they've got kickbacks. So, no, I don't have to choose a side. I want peace. The side I choose is truth, and America is my biggest concern.
There is a man who is whatever America needs him to be. Not the hero we deserve, but the hero we need. Nothing less than a knight. Shining. They'll hunt him. They'll set the dogs on him. Because the truth is the greatest threat they face. It's the War Room with Owen Schroyer.
It's Monday, October 9th, 2023. This is the InfoWars War Room, brought to you by InfoWarsStore.com.
Be right back, guys.
And yet again, the drums of war are pounding. And yet again, you're told you have to choose a side. And yet again, the problems in your front yard, your backyard, and your own home go ignored and get put on the back burner. Now, I'm going to do my best to just give you all the latest news updates dealing with what we saw over the weekend in Israel and what now we're seeing not just in the United States of America, but all over the world. How is this happening? How is it that a centuries-old war and conflict in the Middle East is now in Europe and Australia and the United States of America? It almost seems unreal to me that this is going on. It seems unreal to me where people will flee their home countries because they're in constant war, and then they'll bring that same fight to our country. It doesn't feel real. It feels like 1984. And that's why I want to read from George Orwell's 1984, because I really don't know what the proper response to this is, because it seems that the proper response, as I see it, is not even an option. And that's to say, hey, I don't want war. I want peace. We can recognize there's a struggle. We can recognize that there's bad guys, there's good guys, maybe have a debate where our support should or shouldn't be. But what about what's going on in our country? Or is it just never-ending war? Is that the real story here? 1984 by George Orwell. Oceania was at war with East Asia. Oceania had always been at war with East Asia. A large part of the political literature of 5 years was now completely obsolete. Reports and records of all kinds, newspapers, books, pamphlets, films, soundtracks, photographs, all had to be rectified at lightning speed. Although no directive was ever issued, it was known that the chiefs of the department intended that within 1 week, no reference to the war with Eurasia or alliance with East Asia should remain in existence anywhere. The work was overwhelming, all the more so because the processes that it involved could not be called by their true names. Everyone in the records department worked 18 hours in the 24 with 2 3-hour snatches of sleep. What was worst of all was that the workday was no means purely mechanical. Often, it was enough merely to substitute one name for another, but any detailed report of events demanded care and imagination. Even the geographical knowledge that one needed in transferring the war from one part of the world to another was considerable. It was only 4 years since Oceania had been at war with East Asia and in alliance with Eurasia. But that was merely a piece of furtive knowledge which
it's not my
he happened to possess because his memory was not satisfactorily under control.
I can't even fucking hear what he's saying.
Officially, the change of partners had never happened. Oceania was at war with Eurasia. Therefore, Oceania had always been at war with Eurasia. The enemy of the moment always represented absolute evil. And it followed that any past or future agreement with him was impossible.
It's not my responsibility to buy you medicine.
The party said that Oceania had never been in alliance with Eurasia. He knew that Oceania had been in alliance with Eurasia as short a time as 4 years ago. But where did that knowledge exist? Only in his own consciousness, which in any case must soon be annihilated. And if all others accepted the lie which the party imposed, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became truth. Who controls the past, ran the party slogan, controls the future. Who controls the past, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past. And yet the past, though of its nature alterable, had never been altered. Whatever was true now was true from everlasting to everlasting. It was quite simple. All that was needed was an unending series of victories over your own memory. Reality control, they called it. In newspeak, doublethink. George Orwell, 1984, and this is what it feels like to me. We were always at war with East Asia. We were never at war with Eurasia. We were always at war with Eurasia. We were never at war with East Asia. And I can't help understanding what the true nature of war is, having read Smedley Butler's 1942 novel, War is a Racket, to be skeptical of all of this, to be skeptical of the timing of all of this. There's obvious questions. There's obvious coincidences. As the war in Ukraine is losing its support, now we have to support Israel. The Ukraine flag comes out of the bio, the Israeli flag goes in the bio. Now that they need a speaker to support more war funding, what a perfect opportunity to replace that Ukrainian flag lapel pin with an Israeli flag lapel pin. Just as Republicans were getting ready to stop supporting funding the war in Ukraine.
Weird.
And I'm supposed to believe somehow that all intelligence failed and that men paraglided into concerts and drove around in trucks with weapons? From where, by the way? Manufactured by who? Where do the weapons come from? Where do the rockets come from? What happened to the Iron Dome? What happened to the most secure nation state on earth in Israel? What happened to the most highly effective, efficient, and penetrating intelligence network in Israel? How could this all have happened? Yeah, I'm skeptical. Absolutely, I'm skeptical. And then I'm even more skeptical as I, an American citizen, am told I have to care. And I, as an American citizen, need to be more concerned about what's going on in Ukraine or what's going on in Israel or the Gaza Strip than what's going on in my backyard, than what's going on in my front yard, and what's going on in my own house. Yes, indeed, I am very skeptical. I'm very skeptical of all of it, quite frankly. How convenient is this for the military-industrial complex? How convenient is this for Netanyahu? You say, well, this isn't convenient. Look at the bloodshed. Look at the horror. Yeah, it's disgusting what we're seeing. I'm not denying that. But what are they going to do now? Wipe the Gaza Strip off the map? Murder tens of thousands of innocent people? Notice how one side gets humanized and one side gets ignored. And then there's the level of propaganda. People sharing videos that have nothing to do with Israel or the Gaza Strip. There was one video that went around that was viral, and it said, look, Hamas is putting Jewish children in cages. And it was actually Israeli forces putting Palestinian children in cages years ago. So trying to sift through all the propaganda is one issue, but remaining consistent in one principle, which is America first, is not difficult. It's not. So, no, I'm more concerned that we have a wide open border. I'm more concerned that our economy is crashing. It's a sinking ship and taking on water. I'm more concerned that this government is weaponized against the American people and putting political dissidents in jail. I'm more concerned because I'm about to be a free speech prisoner in my own country. That's what I'm more concerned about, amongst other things. Our infrastructure collapsing. You know, an airplane and a bus just collided at Chicago's airport that's overwhelmed with illegal immigrants. No, I'm more concerned about what's going on in America, quite frankly, and I don't think that's a radical position to have at all. Well, I couldn't have planned the Rejoin song any better than that. Lyrics very reflective there from Phil Collins, as I don't think it's just me that feels this way. I think it's plenty of Americans that feel this way. I don't want to put the Ukraine flag in my bio and then take it down and put the Israeli flag in my bio as soon as I'm told I'm supposed to. But what is this? It's the same divide and conquer, whether it's Black Lives Matter versus police, whether it's Antifa versus MAGA, whether it's Ukraine versus Russia, whether it's Jews versus Muslims. It's the same divide and conquer, and we have to rise above it. But this might be the most impossible hurdle we have as humans on this planet. And once again, the drums of war are banging, and we're told we have to pick a side and fund it and supply it, or you're a disgrace. Not how I feel. Not how I feel. I've got our Bill of Rights and Constitution being shredded by our own politicians. I've got political prisoners being held in the Biden regime. I'm about to go to jail for a speech crime myself. I've got our economy tanking. I've got our border wide open. I've got future generations of Americans that don't even know how they're going to be able to afford to live. I've got the cost of living become unaffordable. And now I'm supposed to be focused on something that's going on the other side of the world, as if that's my biggest fight, as if that's my biggest issue. But I'm going to put that all aside, and I'm going to do my job as a newsman here, and I'm going to show you all the stories, all the headlines, and all the videos. Let's just look here at some of these headlines, and we will piggyback that with a lot of videos as well. And I want to point this out too, because it's very important. And this happens all the time now in the internet age, specifically dealing with war. You have to be careful not to promote propaganda. And I will tell you, I would rather sit here and make sure I do not promote one single piece of propaganda than to try to come on here and do full spectrum coverage at the risk that I'm going to show you war propaganda. And this is like walking a tightrope, folks, when you're in live media. But I've done my best, I think, to weed out the propaganda and just show you the reality of what's going on. We'll start with the headlines. Now, this is the latest Israel, Gaza, the siege of Gaza. Hamas threatens to kill hostages. So Hamas apparently has a bunch of hostages. This is after hundreds or thousands have already been killed. And now Israel, as Netanyahu warned, is just blowing the bejeebies out of the Gaza Strip. Now, again, I choose not to show any of these videos, not because they're too gruesome, but I could show you the videos out of Israel with people suffering and the women and the children, and then I could show you the exact same videos out of Gaza with the women suffering and the children and the devastation and everything. It's happening in both sides. And we're told we have to pick a side. We have to decide which one is worse and which one is good and who deserves the suffering and who doesn't. I don't want involved in any of it. I don't want to see anybody suffering. But who knows what's real and who knows what's not? Who knows what they want you to see and what they don't want you to see? And how could this all have happened? With the Iron Dome and the most secure state in the world of Israel and the spy apparatus and the Five Eyes. How could this have happened? Did somebody want it to happen? Did somebody let it happen? And now they get to blow up the Gaza Strip, and what happens next? But again, I think one of the most telling things is a video that's been going around, and it shows children in cages on a truck. And it says, look at what Hamas is doing to these children in the cages. And it turns out that was a video from 2001 of Israeli forces with Palestinian children in the cages. Now, again, that's not me choosing any side. I'm saying that's the level of propaganda that we deal with covering this stuff. And the emotional aspects and the jumping on board. Now, it is being reported American hostages have been taken, and that Hamas has American hostages. And now Hamas says if the slaughter of the Gaza Strip continues, they're going to start killing hostages live on TV. Now, getting into some of the politics of it here, you cannot deny, again, I'm not telling you to pick a side here. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be neutral and anti-war here. I'm trying to say we got problems in America that we need to deal with. But it's undeniable that the American left and the Democrats have been pro-Palestine. That is undeniable. They do rallies. They do fundraising. It's kind of a far left radical thing to be anti-Israel and to be pro-Palestine. Palestine, I always mix it up. I know how to say America, though. And so here's an example. Cory Booker is with a protest group that's anti-Israel, pro-Palestine. He's got a pro-Palestine flag here. And then he goes and he shoots a video saying, oh, it's so bad what's going on in Israel. We all need to support Israel now. And it's just the same old thing. Take the Ukraine flag out of the bio and put the Israeli flag in the bio. Or no, it's, oh, I've got the Palestine flag in the bio. Nope, now I'm taking the Palestine flag out of the bio, and now I'm putting the Ukraine flag in the bio. Oh, now I'm taking the Ukraine flag out of the bio, and now I'm putting the Israeli flag in the bio. We were always at war with East Asia. We were never at war with East Asia. We're going to have more of the political news in this and the back and forth from the left and the right. But again, I didn't even think it was debated. The left has been anti-Israel. I mean, the majority now of the radical left has been anti-Israel, and the right has always been very pro-Israel. And now it's like here they're trying to blame Donald Trump and Republicans for all of this. Ukraine season, Israel season, Ukraine season, Israel season. It's war season. As always. Now, I hate to get political with this, but you know I'm always going to tell it like it is. Now, the majority of the Democrat Party is pro-Israel, and there's many different reasons for this. We won't get too wonky into it, but you do have the anti-Israel wing of the Democrat Party. You have the anti-Israel wing of the American left. It's existed for a long time, and many of them, you might even say, are pro-Palestine. Now, in recent years, they haven't hid this. They've attended pro-Palestine marches. They have expressed in many ways that they believe Israel is a terrorist sell against Palestine. And they even call it an occupation of Palestine. So this has come from the American left. Now, I don't see that anywhere on the political right, quite frankly, but we do see that from the political left. So for them to now find a way to blame this on Trump is an incredible political, mental, psychological pretzel that they want you to believe. Now, I'm going to address that in a second. In July, when the Democrats were trying to get aid to the Palestinians, and they were saying it was because of a humanitarian crisis caused by Israel. Now, this is back in July. GOP lawmakers blocked $75 million in food aid for Palestinians, raising fears of humanitarian crisis. Now, it's being reported because, remember, apparently Kevin McCarthy was cutting deals behind the scenes saying we're still going to get Ukraine aid even if they shut down the government. I'll still get Ukrainian aid even if I get ousted as speaker. And this is being reported that the U.S. is now releasing, as of last week, that $75 million that the Republicans had been blocking. UNRWA thanked Anthony Blinken for the funds that will sustain its food distribution through early 2024. Quote, thank you, Blinken, for providing $75 million in food assistance to Palestinian refugees in Gaza. So, did they make a secret backroom deal to get that money to the Palestinians? Let's not forget Iran prisoner swap for $6 billion. That just happened under Joe Biden. That is now in the spotlight after the Hamas attack on Israel. And so throw into the speaker race here, and look at how convenient all these headlines are. Interim Speaker McHenry effectively powerless on Israel matters. Israel war adds urgency to U.S. Republican House Speaker crisis. Biden's team worried House chaos might impact aid to Israel. I'm sure they are. Oh, what about the American people? Oh, we don't care about that. Matt Gaetz insists absence of House Speaker will not impact ability of Congress to provide aid to Israel. Now, I'm thinking that might have been a little tongue-in-cheek, like, hey, they're going to get money for war, whether there's a speaker in there, whether I'm speaker, McCarthy is speaker, a ham sandwich is speaker. They're always going to find money to get for war. So I think this is more of Matt Gaetz just responding a little bit tongue-in-cheek because they're saying, oh, my gosh, Gaetz, look what you did. Look what you did now. Now there's no aid for Ukraine. Now there's no aid for Israel. And Gaetz is like, oh, believe me, they'll get their money for Israel. But how convenient. So the Biden administration is going to have to answer to this, whether they like it or not. And I'm going to show you that the American left is panicked because they know, at least partially, they probably have some blame on what happened in Israel. But let's go back to September when Joe Biden gave Iran $6 billion. Here's Wolf Blitzer and John Kirby discussing that in clip 9.
You insist the Iranian regime won't touch the $6 billion of Iranian funds being unfrozen. But isn't it true that this frees Tehran up to spend more on other nefarious goals like supporting terrorism and boosting its nuclear program?
Well, to the degree that they continue destabilizing activities, and it's, I can't predict what they'll do going forward here, but we already have pressure in place on Iran, both through sanctions and through our military presence in the Gulf region. We won't hesitate to take additional actions as we see further destabilizing activity by Iran. But
critics say it frees up other funds for Iran to finance terrorism. The exiled son of Iran's last Shah calling history the best guide.
We saw what happened to the money that was released to the Iranian regime under the Obama administration. It went to further finance the regime's proxies in Syria and Lebanon.
So again, just trying to look at all the angles of this. The Biden administration leaves behind all those weapons in Afghanistan, which also may have sacrificed critical intel and data, intelligence. They then give $6 billion to Iran, and then this attack happens just as everyone predicted. Was this all part of a plan? Did the Biden administration want this to happen? Do they have a secret deal that they've cut with Iran? Do they have a secret deal they've cut with Israel to allow this to happen so that Israel can take over and bomb the bejeebies out of the Gaza Strip? How is it that when they released those funds, John Kirby himself says, well, we don't know what Iran will do. And then everybody else says, no, we know exactly what Iran will do. They will back Hamas for a terror attack. And then that's exactly what happened. Are you telling me that Biden and his administration didn't know that was going to happen? Are you telling me that when they sent all that money and all those weapons into the region, that it wouldn't be used for terror attacks? Are they that incompetent, or was it all a grand scheme? To what ends? You can make up your own mind. Money? Power? Land? All the above? But maybe they just are that incompetent. Or Jake Sullivan is, at least. Listen to what he just said last week about the Biden presidency in the Middle East in clip 11.
What we said is we want to depressurize, de-escalate, and ultimately integrate the Middle East region. The war in Yemen is in its 19-month of truce. For now, the Iranian attacks against U.S. forces have stopped. Our presence in Iraq is stable. I emphasize for now because all of that can change. And the Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades.
Boy, even Sullivan basically giving themselves the out like, well, it could change at any moment. Did they know this was coming? Did intelligence forces stand down and let this happen? Did the Biden administration know, like putting a snake into your sleeping bag, releasing a bunch of wasps into your house, that you'd get stung, that you'd get bit? Did they know this? Was it conscious? Was it, oh, let's just see what happens? Boy, oh boy, though, it looks like the insider trading, oh, I'm sure that doesn't go on. Never mind. It looks like the luck of the stock purchase in Congress is paying off. By the way, all defense contracts are up big today. All defense contractors on Wall Street are up big. All oil futures also up big. And Unusual Whales, who covers a lot of stock market activity, specifically dealing with politicians and members of Congress, is reporting Congress has been buying war stocks. Many bought defense company General Dynamics. Numerous Republicans bought heavy into oil futures plus energy companies. Democrats bought cybersecurity. These companies lobby Congress heavily. But it doesn't even have to be insider trading. Again, if I put a bunch of snakes in your sleeping bag and then I bet you get bit, if I release a bunch of wasps into your house and then I bet you get stung, if I give Iran $6 billion and then I bet they launch an attack, well, that's just playing the odds then, isn't it? So again, if I release a snake into your sleeping bag, well, did I make that snake bite you, or am I just playing the odds? When John Kirby and Jake Sullivan say, yeah, well, we're giving the money to Iran, and yeah, they might do something bad with it. Oh, really? Oh, I stick my hand in a hornet's nest, I might get stung. That they're not the only ones. Here's Blinken. Here's Blinken after the $6 billion aid, talking about how they always support terrorism in clip 15.
What do you say about the argument that money is fungible? So Iran may have known this money is coming and used other funds to help fund this attack that happened.
Iran has unfortunately always used and focused its funds on supporting terrorism, on supporting groups like Hamas, and it's done that when there have been sanctions, it's done that when there haven't been sanctions, and it's always prioritized that. And again, I come back to the proposition that these funds have always been, under the law, available to Iran to use for humanitarian purposes.
So they all knew. Well, yeah, we're giving all this money to Iran, and they fund terror, and that might result in terror and bloodshed, but hey, we're giving them the money. Now, watching the left blame Donald Trump for this shows me one thing and one thing only. Obviously, that the Trump derangement syndrome is still in full effect with these lunatic lefties. and Democrats. But two, they are feeling that this is partially their fault because they voted for Joe Biden. They put this incompetent, corrupt leadership in the White House. They're responsible for this administration. They're responsible for the Afghanistan pullout, which resulted in weapons in the Middle East, intelligence being compromised in the Middle East. They're responsible for the $6 billion to Iran, which is likely responsible for what went down this weekend, at least somewhat. So for the left to be jumping up and down like a bunch of hopped up crackheads, blaming this on Donald Trump tells me that's their defense mechanism. That's their coping mechanism. They know that they've done this by voting Joe Biden and by supporting Joe Biden's policies. They know that what has happened is a direct result of the Biden administration. So for them to be hopping up and down saying Trump's fault, Trump's fault, Trump's fault shows you that they know this is their fault. It's inversionism. It's projection. They know they've done this. But they believe they're above and beyond reproach. They're the most morally superior, high-grounded people on earth, so they can do no wrong. That's their whole belief, is they can do no wrong. And I've got all kinds of examples. These are just like an account like Mike Sington. I don't even know if these are real people. These might just be fake accounts that Democrats pay for, but nonetheless, it's a Democrat Party propaganda account. And I saw this narrative going all around the internet. What classified national secrets did Trump blab about that gave Hamas the advantage of surprise in their attack? I mean, this is such low-level IQ Democrat Party propaganda. It's pathetic. In fact, just last week, they tried to run an anti-Trump story. I don't even think I gave it any airtime just because it was so fake, saying that Trump shared nuclear secrets with Australia. Well, that got debunked over the weekend. Completely fake, not true, utter BS. And it just comes and goes. They just make up another anti-Trump lie, and then it just comes and goes. And so this is the new one. Trump gave Hamas secrets. I mean, that is such low IQ Democrat Party drivel that I can't even believe that anybody would spout it and repost it, but they do. And then there's New York Democrats like Alessandra Biaggi. She says that Elise Stefanik needs to shut the F up because when Trump was in the White House, they brought peace to the Middle East, which is just true. It's just true. And just look at the meltdown here. Donald Trump brought stability to the world. Your entire education was a waste. Lady, Donald Trump didn't start any new wars. There weren't any terror attacks in Israel when Donald Trump was in office. And there were peace deals that were made. That is a fact. Love Donald Trump, hate Donald Trump, that is a fact. Democrats can't deal in fact. But again, why are they attacking Donald Trump when all this goes down? Because they know it's Democrat Party policy, Democrat Party foreign policy, and the Joe Biden administration that is responsible for what we saw in Israel and what we're going to see in the Gaza Strip. They know it. They know it. Mike Pence is blaming Donald Trump. He says this is what happens when we have leading voices like Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Ron DeSantis signaling retreat from Israel. Donald Trump was one of the most pro-Israel presidents I've ever seen. This is one of the crazier aspects. You understand that the anti-Israel, far whatever you want to call it, far left, far right, I guess it's far left and far right to be anti-Israel. And you realize that they said Donald Trump was a Zionist. They said Donald Trump was basically working for the Jews. And then it's just like, it's all nonsensical. It's all nonsensical. Trump signaling retreat from Israel. Now Mike Pence showing you what a lying scumbag politician he is. Blaming Trump? Blaming Trump? So Mike Pence. Why is Mike Pence running for president? To sabotage Donald Trump. That's all. Mike Pence's job now is to sabotage Donald Trump. That's it. Same with Chris Christie. They don't actually have any policy. They don't actually have any desire to be president. They're not actually searching for any political power. They're only up there to destroy Donald Trump. So Donald Trump forced to respond. Trump says Hamas attack on Israel and the war in Ukraine would not have occurred if he were president. Well, look, here's what you can say, because it's true. There was no war in Ukraine when Trump was president, and there was no Hamas attack on Israel when Trump was president. That's a fact. That is a fact. So it's amazing, isn't it? Liberals blaming Donald Trump for this when none of this happened under Donald Trump's watch, and it only happened under Democrat Party rule. Happened under Obama, happened under Biden. Not under Trump. And the New York Times is running defense. Trump's claim that U.S. taxpayer money funded Hamas attack is false. And it's all just this, well, we just don't know it. Well, we don't have any oversight of the money in Ukraine. It could have gone anywhere, including it could have gone to Hamas. What oversight do we have of the $6 billion that Joe Biden released to Iran? Do they know that none of that went to Hamas? No, they don't know that. And they admit they don't know that. They just say, oh, no, because there wasn't a check signed that directly went from Iran to Hamas, then we just don't know it. So Trump saying that is false. Well, you don't know it's false, actually. Here's some of the political commentary from Trump on Truth Social. This was back in September, on September 11th this year. Can you believe that crooked Joe Biden is giving $6 billion to the terrorist regime in Iran? That money be used for terrorism all over the Middle East and indeed the world. This incompetent fool is absolutely destroying America. He had the audacity to announce this terrible deal on September 11th. To pay for hostages will be leading to kidnapping, ransom, and blackmail against Americans across the globe. I've freed many dozens of our people from various unfriendly countries and never paid a dime. And everything he said there in September is right. And then today, the same people that raided Israel are pouring into our once beautiful USA through our totally open southern border at record numbers. Are they planning an attack within our country? Crooked Joe Biden and his boss, Barack Hussein Obama, did this to us. Donald Trump today. Now, we got more statements from Donald Trump today at an event in New Hampshire. And so, wow, we've got more on this coming up in the second hour. Ladies and gentlemen, everything we do here is brought to you by you, shopping at InfoWarsStore.com. Now, a lot of this is very complex. A lot of this has a lot of historical aspects to it as well. And one way to bone up on that is to get Alex Jones' books. If you haven't gotten The Great Reset and The War for the World by Alex Jones, that is still available. But the new book, The Great Awakening, is now available at InfoWarsStore.com. Now, we sold a limited edition of signed copies of The Great Reset by Alex Jones. We are now selling signed copies of The Great Awakening by Alex Jones. So a lot of this stuff, very complex, ladies and gentlemen, but to understand the historical background and where it's taking us, the latest book from Alex Jones, The Great Awakening, Defeating the Globalists and Launching the Next Great Renaissance. And Alex was already really excited for the first book, The Great Reset and the War for the World. He's even more excited about you getting The Great Awakening because it's even more informative with an even deeper historical background into what we're dealing with today. All right, Donald Trump had an event in New Hampshire earlier today. And by the way, same story as always. People lined up outside the venue, wrapped around the venue hours before it starts, sometimes even hours before the sun rises. Same story again today in New Hampshire. There's not a single Democrat that can get a crowd like that. I mean, really, there's not a single politician that could get a crowd like that, but certainly not a single Democrat, but 90 million votes for Joe Biden. He beat Donald Trump fair and square. So let's see if Joe Biden ever has a campaign event or if he even makes it to the presidential election season. But you imagine it's got to be sooner than later if they are going to do the ouster of Joe Biden. Unless some dramatic event happens, I don't see how they pull this off. Now, interestingly enough, there was a major move inside the Democrat Party that we predicted would happen. I'll explain that in a second. But here's Donald Trump talking about the attack on Israel earlier today in clip 2.
Now, who could imagine a war, right? with people pouring into our country and we have no idea from where they come. The same people, in many cases, the same people that just attacked Israel. You know that, right? Can you imagine what this guy has done to us, what he's done to us? That would have never happened. The attack on Israel would never, ever have happened. The attack on Ukraine would never have happened.
And he's right because it didn't. He's right because it didn't. So it's amazing what the mainstream media, liberal Democrat propaganda will do. Blame Trump when they're the ones in office. So none of this happened when Trump was in office. It all happened when Biden was in office, so therefore it's Trump's fault. I mean, who believes that crap? Democrats do. Now, the Democrats do have a big problem on their hand, but maybe I should get to that in a second, because really what I want to cover next is the most heartbreaking thing outside of the actual events that are happening in the Middle East, as the Gaza Strip is getting shelled by Israel today. And, of course, Israel still dealing with the terror attacks from over the weekend. So, yeah, that's heartbreaking stuff. And to those involved, it's the worst. It's hell on earth. Now, I'm going to tell you what's going on here that breaks my heart. I'm going to tell you what's going on here that breaks my heart. Maybe we'll get into the larger geopolitical issue dealing with this, but I'll start it off by going over some of the images, and I'll show some of the videos when we come back. But in the streets of New York City, now again, I'm trying not to sell any political propaganda here, and this dates back all the way to September 11th, 2001, obviously. But I'm trying to look at this from a logical, reasonable perspective here, and it just doesn't add up. We're told radical Islam launched the greatest terror attack in this country's history, specifically on New York City, and now you have Islamic groups running around in New York City with anti-American chants, anti-Jewish, anti-Israel chants. This is just 22 years after what is supposedly the greatest terror attack on the U.S. homeland by radical jihadis. And now you have radical Islamic groups appearing to be radical jihadis on the streets of New York City, waving around Islamic regalia and propaganda. Now, how does that happen? That does not add up to me. It's nonsensical, even. But what's even worse is that Trump supporters, Catholics, and Republicans are being put on terror watch lists by the U.S. government. Terror watch lists that were made for radical jihadis that we were told want us all dead. And now that narrative's been switched, and now it's turned on us.
In a galaxy torn by conflict, where darkness spreads its tendrils across the universe, one hero rises against the immeasurable might of the globalists. Tune in and trust in the power of the truth to lead us to victory in the great info war. Prepare for the ultimate battle for truth with today's War Room broadcast. Now, it's your host, Owen Schroyer and his intrepid crew. Find the show and share the links at infowars.com/show.
Now, this is such a complex and nuanced thing to try to cover, but I guess I would lean into it like this.
Wait, hold on.
My biggest...
I'm off 2 weeks anyways, guys, off the other one. And I'm this close to losing anyways for copyright, so who cares, right? At this point. If you guys really want to find me, you're going to have to find me on Rumble or Telegram. I don't care anymore. This country has gone to the shitter. It's going to hell in a handbasket. I don't see it as an election 24, guys. Biblically speaking, I think Jesus is returning in my lifetime. I know I'm rapture bound. Amen, brothers and sisters, because that's where I'm concerned. You know, and I have to get out of here. I have to get out of New York. I don't know. I mean, I just want all this burden, all this pain to just be lifted for a bit. But I don't know, because like, it's crazy because I think about my beautiful aunt, and like, she graduated high school and probably already got her license, her first job. You know, even if it was just 3 days a week, at least, you know, she would be doing something. I couldn't wait till I got my first job. I don't get to see any of that. It sucks. It really does, brothers and sisters, and all we got is each other, you know, through these times. And I love you. Thank you for all your prayers and your love that you guys have done for me and my family. Keep praying for us, okay? Because it's not much longer. You know, I kept worrying about, you know, all this financial burden and stuff. And 10 years from now, maybe we might not even have 10 years. Sister Missy, right? Can I get an amen to that? How about JH? We might not have 10 years. And God's going to take care of these lawyers. So maybe I should just give this all up to God, because I go back and forth. And I try to let him have these burdens. You know, so it can be lifted from me. But I feel like sometimes, like, is this a punishment? You know? Me losing Anna, you know, and I talk about my abortion story. That's how I became pro-life, you know, and I've talked to Brother Herbert about that. And that's something the Catholic Church would teach you, is, you know, that how the sins pass on to the child. And that's something the Catholic Church would teach. But anyway, I'm sorry I started crying. My makeup's all messed up now. But yeah, I've been having a lot of chest pain too, so keep praying for me. I did get checked out. I got some electrolytes. They gave me some fluids, gave me something for nausea. He gave me something for pain, which was great because it helped me sleep that night finally for 3 hours. But then I got sick the next day, and then Sarah got it. But Sarah's got more of a stuffed up nose. I do have a stuffed up nose, but we kind of had back and forth all year with the sinus infection. My husband had a very bad sinus infections all the time. He in fact had to see a specialist, so I'm gonna get her like a dehumidifier for her room. We're gonna try that. And I know she doesn't like doing the nasal sprays and stuff like that, but that is the best way to for her to be able to breathe at night. But it seems like we're going back and forth with it, so keep praying for us to heal. I did finally eat a little bit today, guys, so I'm trying each day, but like I said, when I found out, that check bounced, my heart just like, is there anything else gonna happen? Like, anything else gonna happen? Let me know. The humidifier will help, yeah. And the dehumidifier too helps too, though. You need both for certain times of the year. It is, sister. I don't know. I don't want to go on like this for another 50 years. Who wants to? I'm ready. I love you guys. I'm going to get off here. But if you want to keep listening to that podcast, let me give you the link for it. Thank you. I wish I could get a hug from you girls. I don't get hug. I know I could use more hugs from my brothers and sisters. So I have to go pawn some stuff tomorrow just to cover that amount. I can't believe that this happened. Like, you do so good for somebody and then, you know what I mean? I just don't get it. Yeah, so the dehumidifier is only if you have a lot of moisture, so that goes in the basement. You're right. Okay. I think that's in the basement. And that still runs, by the way. I wanted to ask you, I have a lot to talk about. I don't know. I know you've been recovering from your heart surgery, so I didn't know when a good time to call you. I did send a message out to Sister Renee, too. I don't know where to go. Like, I think Pennsylvania might not be the best idea now. I don't know. Kentucky, that's where Tom wanted me to go. But, you know, it costs money to get to Kentucky. And, yeah. Aw, thank you. Virtual hugs. Alright, sisters, I'll be on some point, but I'll probably be suspended for a week or two on this one too, so I'll see you around. Love you guys. Not good, PA. I know. That's what Sarah's been looking into. She said the same thing. But sister, you gotta remember, whatever I sell this house for, hon, is what I gotta start looking for. You know what I mean? I don't want a mortgage. So I want to pay the house off. I wish I could get a condo or like a townhouse or investment property, I think maybe that might be my best bet. I don't know. These are just things that I've been thinking about. But I don't want to call you because I know your heart surgery is really hard to recover from, and I don't want to. You got so much already going on with you and your husband. Wish you guys didn't live so far away. It sucks. Oh. Yeah. Thank you. I got my daughter Sarah, though. We'll find something, sister. We just gotta find out where to go, what state. I love you guys. But I promise you I'm eating because I was giving up there for a little bit, to be honest with you. I was pretty upset. Yeah, friends don't do that to each other's right. I just had someone reach out to me about that. But yeah, I love you guys. I'm not doing anything for Thanksgiving. I already told my daughter Sarah she doesn't really eat turkey, so yeah. It's Thanksgivings are sad anyway for me because I don't have Tom and Anna. It's all I think about her all the time now. I want to smell her hair. I can't do that no more. I wanna see her smile. Lord. Keep praying for me, guys, okay? I'm really missing it a lot. And my husband, don't get me wrong. I know maybe I don't talk about it as much, but I do. But that's my child. You know, when you get married, you take vows. Sometimes you prepare for that. You talk about that. But to lose a child, and mothers who have, you get it. So I love you. I'm not, because I have Sarah to live for. I want to see her grow up, become an amazing woman. She's so beautiful and smart, and she loves her mom. She took care of me for 5 days. She even though she wasn't feeling good herself, she literally was the only one looking out for me, making sure I had water and liquids and stuff. I love that girl. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.